Yesterday, I looked up our house on Google Street View. I wish I didn't. The picture showed our little blue A-frame perfectly. The flower boxes leaning out of the kitchen window, filled with morning glories. The cedar rocking chair. The splotch of brown paint on the steps from when I painted the desk. But there were two people standing on the porch. Two people I didn't recognize. Even though their faces were blurred out, I knew they couldn't be us. We're Indian, and they were clearly white. Who are those people? My brother, Arjun, asked. I have no idea. I leaned into the computer screen, squinting at the pixels. Maybe some of my friends from school? But I knew that couldn't be true. They looked like adults. The man and woman were both wearing gray, tailored suits. I don't know of any 15-year-old that dresses like they work on Wall Street. Maybe it's an old picture, I said. Maybe they're the previous owners. But that didn't seem right either. First of all, the text in the corner read, Street View, July 2017. Second, they didn't seem to be just hanging out and relaxing at their own home. The woman was standing at the corner of the porch, weight on one hip, arms crossed over her chest. The man stood unnaturally straight, as if he were posing for the photo, hands deep in his pockets. Maybe it's photoshopped. I turned to him. Really, Arjun? He shrugged. I don't know, maybe they photoshopped it purposely. To scare us. To make us move. You really think Google would let someone mess with their photos? He shrugged. All those big companies, organizations, and celebrities are super corrupt. Like Hillary Clinton. She's been doing satanic rituals for years, and she's the ringleader of... I cut him off. I see. Another conspiracy theory. Sometimes I think the hospital must have messed with his brain all those years ago. Don't worry, we'll heal you up, little baby. Let's just upload some crazy theories into your head first. It's not a theory. It's true. You sound like an idiot. Mom says you shouldn't call me that, Dia. Whatever. It's not photoshopped. Okay, and what do you think it is? I stared at the photo. Those two people. They look familiar almost. Something about them. Their gray suits, their matching silver shoes, rung a bell. I don't know, I said finally. Arjun eventually returned to his room, probably to tweet some more conspiracy theories to his 51 followers. How they let a 13-year-old own a Twitter account is beyond me. I went back to my homework. At least, I tried to. Every few minutes, my eyes tore away from the algebra textbook and back to the photo. Where had I seen them before? Friday went by at a snail's pace. Between getting a C+ on a quiz and nearly falling asleep in history, I forgot all about the weird Street View image. After school, I grabbed a yogurt and headed straight for my room. But I froze when my eyes fell on a picture, hanging next to the stairs. It was a photo of Arjun and me. My mom had taken it when we visited Philadelphia a few years ago. Arjun was holding some sort of toy helicopter. I was wearing weird floral jeans and sparkly hair clips. But there, behind us, were two people. Two people wearing gray suits and silver shoes. I grabbed the framed picture off the wall, brought it up to my face. A blonde woman, arms crossed over her chest. A dark-haired man, hands in his pockets. Their faces weren't blurred out in this one, but they were wearing dark sunglasses. Mom? I called, heading back into the kitchen. Do you remember taking this picture? In Philadelphia? Oh, yeah, sure, she replied, through chops of broccoli. Why? Who are those people behind us? Mom took the photo and brought it close to her face. Her eyes were calm, searching, and then, suddenly, they widened. Just random people, she said brusquely. But I saw them. Shouldn't you be doing your homework? She snapped. It's Friday, Mom. Your grades aren't good. She didn't give the photo back to me. Instead, she set it down on the counter. You should be studying, not inspecting old family photos. I turned around and ran up the stairs. That stung. A lot. Usually Mom treats me like I'm made of glass, always praising me, hugging me, telling me how wonderful I am. Yelling at Arjun, sure. But me? It was out of character, to say the least. I plopped down in front of the computer, typed in maps.google.com. I should be planning my 16th birthday party. It's only 2 weeks away. Or on Facebook, checking if Bria Pierce dumped Chad yet. But I wasn't. I was here on Google Maps, staring at them. The gray suits, the silver shoes, the faces that were blurred into blobs of unidentifiable flesh. Then, on a whim, I typed in a different address. Roxanne Court, our old address. The house we lived in before moving here. The image loaded. There, in the front yard, stood 2 figures, wearing gray suits. What? I zoomed in, staring at the screen. Wisps of blonde hair fell on the shoulders of the woman. The man held his hands in his pockets. They both stood there on the front lawn, in plain sight, as if nothing was amiss. The text read, Street View, May 2012. When we'd lived there. My hands trembled against the keyboard. My heart pounded in my chest. But I forced myself to type a third address. 6th Street. The tiny starter house we lived in several years ago. The image loaded. A cute white ranch with 2 windows in front, a carpet of fluorescent green grass, and a cracked cobblestone walkway appeared. The porch was empty. I breathed a sigh of relief. They weren't there. No one standing on the lawn, in the driveway, or anywhere around the house. If those people were following us, they'd be here too. I took slow, deep breaths, calming my racing heart. I was about to click away when something caught my eye. Something in the window. I zoomed in. The window was dark, cut by white lines separating the glass into panes. But in the lower right pane, there was something there. Pale, pressed up against the glass. I zoomed in again. It was a face. Fear coursed through my veins. I slammed the laptop shut, leapt out of my chair, and then I did what any terrified teenager would do. I ran downstairs to my mom. Mom? I called, fear trembling my voice. Mom? I stopped. The broccoli lay strewn over the kitchen island, half chopped. The faucet dripped. The napkins lay on the floor. Mom? We're in here. My mom's voice. Weak. Trembling. We're? Oh, no. No. The 2 gray suits. Were they here? Holding my mom hostage? I ran into the family room, my heart pounding. But it wasn't them. It was Dad. Dad? Aren't you supposed to be at work? I said. I glanced from the grim expression on his face to the tears staining Mom's cheeks. What happened? Oh my God, did Grandma... Grandma's fine, Dad said. I stared at them. We need to talk to you, Mom said, her voice broken with sobs. About something we did a long time ago. I sat down on the ottoman, a heavy weight settling in my chest. Do you remember when Arjun was very sick in the hospital? When you were about 6? Dad asked, folding his hands in his lap. That's random. But I nodded. The hospital, the red-haired nurse who gave me a lollipop, the vending machine that had the vanilla wafers. It was all fuzzy, distorted and blurred through the lens of time. At the time, I was too young to understand exactly what was going on with Arjun. But I was old enough to know that my brother was very sick, and that my parents were miserable. "You remember how suddenly he recovered, right?" Dad said, his tone falling from explanatory to miserable. "The doctors couldn't explain it. Said it was a miracle. You remember what we told you? 2 angels came down straight from heaven, touched his chest, and healed his lungs," I repeated mechanically. They must have told me that story hundreds of times. "There was some truth in it. We were approached in the hospital by 2 people. A man named John Crimson and a woman named Molly. They claimed they could heal Arjun." He averted his eyes. "For a price. We told them that we were fine with whatever price they wanted. If we didn't have the money, we'd take out loans. We'd pay them back for the rest of our lives if we had to." 2 people wearing gray suits? He nodded. "After they healed him, they told us the price. They didn't want money." Dad's voice shuddered, and he looked me in the eye. "They wanted you." My heart stopped. "Me?" "They told us they'd come back for you," Mom finally said, her eyes wet with tears. "They'd take you on your 16th birthday." "My birthday's in 2 weeks." She nodded. "What do you mean, take me? What are they going to do to me?" Mom and Dad looked at each other uncomfortably. "We have no idea," Dad said, finally breaking the silence. "We never would have done it if we knew," Mom said, her voice muffled through a tissue. "I promise that. We love you, Dia. Never wanted to..." "We thought we could escape them," Dad broke in, cutting her off. "We just move into the middle of nowhere. Change our names, maybe. How could they find us after that?" "They always did." "They found us at every house we'd ever lived in." Street View confirmed that. Mom got up and pulled an old photo album off the bookshelf. Wordlessly, she dropped it in my lap. "They follow us. Wherever we go." I flipped it open. Arjun and I, eating ice cream at Cold Stone. At the next table, with their backs to us, 2 people sharing a milkshake. 2 people in gray suits. Arjun and I at the lake, hitting each other with pool noodles. In the distance, near the woods, 2 gray figures, watching. Arjun and I at the carnival. In the background, lit by the red and white lights of the Dragon roller coaster, they stood, wearing sunglasses despite the darkness. They were always following, watching, waiting. There was nowhere I could hide. So that's it? They're just gonna take me? In 2 weeks? My parents looked at each other, tears in their eyes, and then they nodded. We hugged and cried for a long time. Then I went up to my room, turned on the computer, and opened a new tab. Not Google Maps. Google. I began to type, my fingers flying across the keyboard. Guns, bombs, mace, tasers, weapons of any and every kind. How to buy, where to purchase. Expedited shipping? Yes. I've only got 2 weeks after all. They may be coming for me. But I will not go gently into that good night. Today's story was also featured in a new audiobook written by Blair and narrated by me, Jordan Grupe. Check out Don't Scream, 60 Tales to Terrify. Available now on Audible. The Google algorithm has been acting up lately. it's been giving me very strange recommendations. Usually, it's right on the money, and sometimes predicts things that I want before I have even mentioned them out loud. And I wonder how it knows. Is it reading my mind? Or does it just know me better than I know myself? For instance, recently I was thinking about replacing my laptop. The old one was starting to malfunction, and was slowing down to the point of being irritating. Sure enough, ads for laptops started appearing at the side of my browser window when I visited various websites, even though I hadn't mentioned the problem to anyone, and hadn't even said out loud that the old laptop was bothering me. Again and again, ads began to show up that catered to my very exact needs, getting more and more creepily specific. A hole ripped suddenly in my underwear, and an ad for underwear popped up on my Google phone. I broke a coffee mug, and ads for coffee mugs started to show up. I didn't even have to think about stuff after a while. It just popped up on my feed before I even knew I wanted it. I tried not to give in to these temptations, but I couldn't help myself. The ads were too perfect. It was everything I ever needed at the click of a button. It didn't help that I had a shopping addiction once upon a time, and this brought it all back. The bills began to pile up as my online shopping became a real problem for my wife and I financially. I started seeing looks of disgust and annoyance on her face when she talked to me, and I realized I was ruining our marriage with my constant need for these perfect new things, which were clearly meant so specifically just for me. But to be honest, it wasn't just that. There were problems long before that. The buying habit was just an escape, I had begun to realize. Still, I couldn't let her take that from me. She wanted to cut up my credit card, wanted to cancel it, but I told her no. Then, very soon after that, new ads started to appear when I was browsing on the laptop. Ads for shovels, for lye, for dark clothing and flashlights, for spades, pickaxes, and grass seed. Strange, I thought at first, since we didn't even live in a house with a backyard. Why was it making such odd recommendations all of a sudden? Looking at the laptop more closely, I realized why the algorithm had my desires wrong suddenly. I wasn't synced to my Google account. The laptop was logged into my wife's profile. But why would she want to buy those items? Gardening tools don't make a lot of sense when you don't have a garden, or even a yard. I opened up the history tab, going back and seeing what she'd been looking at. Strangely, the last 24 hours were wiped blank. She was still out at the grocery store, so I pulled up the bank statements and her credit card account, overwhelmed with a desire to find out the truth, like an itch in my mind that I couldn't help but scratch. When I logged into my Google account and tried to follow the money, as they always say in movies, I couldn't help but notice the new ads dominating the borders of my computer screen. Learn self-defense now. Meadow Valley Karate School. Currently accepting new students. Put on these brand new Nike running shoes and get outside. Go! And then finally, Bob's Gun Store. You can't put a price on safety. That last one was actually nearby, so I decided to quit browsing the internet and just get out of the house. After all, the only thing I could find in our bank and credit card history was a big cash withdrawal the day prior. It hadn't been me. Only Christine could have taken the money out. But why? Part of me wasn't surprised when I saw her car parked outside the gun store. She was so transfixed by her new purchase that she didn't even notice me as I drove past, gawking at her. She was holding a large pistol in her hand and stroking it thoughtfully. Christine had always said she hated guns. I guess maybe that she had changed her mind. I drove for a long time after that. More afraid than I had ever felt in my life. Terrified of the woman I'd married. A couple hours outside the city, my phone started to ring. I pulled over onto the shoulder and fished the Google Pixel phone out of my pocket with shaking hands, looking at the screen. It was a video call from Christine. She was obviously wondering where I was. Swiping up on the screen, I saw her face appear. Seeing it made me feel like I'd been wrong about everything. Like it had all been a big mistake. She would never do anything to hurt me. "Hey, where are you? Are you driving?" I asked her, seeing the background of her video call. She looked to be on a country road somewhere. "Yeah, of course. I was worried sick about you. I pulled up your GPS data on your phone because you didn't come home for dinner. Where are you going?" Of course. I had forgotten all about that. She knew my passwords and could track my phone. "Tell him to stay where he is," a man's voice whispered in the background. "Stay where you are. I'm coming to get you, okay?" Oh, she was coming to get me, all right. "Christine? Whose voice was that?" The call suddenly cut out, as her stunned face seemed unable to come up with a response to my question. I'm browsing my phone now, looking for a motel where I can spend the night. The suggested ones that keep popping up are for places in Mexico. I think maybe I should listen to Google this time.
Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/Jordan Group Horror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow. And see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.